Complete Works of Swami Vivekananda, Volume 3, Section 2, Chapter 3, Spiritual Realization, the Aim of Bhakti Yoga. To the Bhakta, these dry details are necessary only to strengthen his will. Beyond that, they are of no use to him, for he is trending on a path which is fitted very soon to lead him beyond the hazy and turbulent regions of reasons to lead him to the realm of realization. He soon, through the mercy of Lord, reaches a plane where, through the mercy of Lord, reaches a plane where Vedantic and powerless reasons is less far behind, and the mere intellectual groping through the dark gives place to the daylight of direct perception. He no more reasons he no more reasons and believes, he almost perceives. He no more reasons and believes, he almost perceives. He no more argues, he senses, and is not this seeing God and feeling God and enjoying God higher than everything else. Nay, bhaktas have not been waiting for, who have maintained that it is higher than even moksha, that is liberation. And is it not also the highest utility? There are people, and a good many of them too, in the world who are convinced that only that is of use and ultimate utility which brings to the man creature comfort. Even religion, God, eternity, soul, none of this is of any use to them, as they do not bring them money or physical comfort. To such, all those things which do not go to gratify the sense and appease the appetite are of no utility. In every mind, utility, however, is conditioned by its own peculiar way. To men, therefore, who never rise higher than eating, drinking, begetting, progeny, and dying, the only gain is in sense enjoyment, and they must wait and go through many more births and reincarnations to learn to feel even the faintest necessary for anything higher. But those to whom the eternal interests of the soul are of much higher value than the fleeting interest of this mundane life, to whom the gratification of the senses is but like the thoughtless play of a baby, to them God and love of God form the highest and the only utility of human existence. Thank God there are such some much thank God there are some much still living in the world of too much worldliness. Bhakti Yoga, as we have said, is divided into Gauni or a preparatory and Para or superior form. We shall find as we go on how in the preparatory stage we unavoidably stand in need of many concrete help to enable us to get on, and indeed the mythological and symbological parts of religion are natural growths which early environ the springing soul help it Godward. It is also a significant fact that spiritual giants have been produced only in those systems of religion where there is an exuberant growth of rich mythology and ritualism. The dry fanatical form of religion which attempt to eradicate all that is poetic, all that is beautiful and the sublime, all that gives a firm grasp to the infant mind, tottering in its Godway, Godward, Godward way. The forms which attempt to break down the very ridge poles of the spiritual roof and, in their ignorant and superstitious conception of truth, try to drive away all that is life giving. All the furnish all the furnish the formative material to the spiritual plant growing in the human soul. Such forms of religion too soon find that all that is left to them is but an empty shell, a contentless frame of words and sophistry, with perhaps a little flavor of social scavengering, or the so-called spirit of perform or reform. The vast mass of those whose religion is like this are conscious or unconscious materialistic. The end and aim of their lives here and hereafter being enjoyment, which indeed is to them the alpha and the omega of human life, and which is their Ishtapurta, work like street cleaning and scavenging, intending for the material comfort of a man. According to them, the be all and end all of human existence. And sooner the followers of this curious mixture of ignorance and fanaticism come out in their true colors and join, as they well deserve to go do, the ranks of athletes and materialistic, the better will it be for the world. 1 ounce of the particle of righteousness and of spiritual self-realization outweighs tones and tones of frothy talk and nonsensical sentiments. Show us one, but one gigantic spiritual genius growing out of all this dry dust of ignorance and fanaticism. And if you cannot close your mouth, open the windows of your hearts to clear light of truth and sit like children at the feet of those who know what they are talking about, the sages of India. Let us then listen attentively to what they say. Chapter 4, The Need of Guru. Every soul is designated to be perfect, and every being in the end will attain the state of perfection. Whatever we are now is a result of our acts and thoughts in the past, and whatever we shall be in future will be the result of what we think and do now. But this, the shaping of our own destinies, does not precludes or our receiving help from outside. Now, in the vast majority of cases, such help is absolutely necessary. When it comes, the higher powers and possibilities of the soul are quickened, spiritual life is awakened, growth is animated, and man becomes holy and perfect in the end. This quickening impulse cannot be derived from book. The soul can only receive impulses from another soul and from nothing else. We may study books all our lives. We may become very intellectual, but in the end, we find that we have not developed at all spiritually. It is not true that a high order of intellectual development always goes hand in hand with the proportionate development of the spiritual side of man. In studying books, we are sometimes deluded into thinking that thereby we are being spiritually helped. But if we analyze the effect of the study of books on ourselves, we shall find that at the utmost it is only our intellect that derives profit from such studies and not our inner spirit. This inadequacy of the book to quickens spiritual growth is the reason why, although almost every one of us can speak most wonderfully on the spiritual matter, when it comes to action and the living of the truly spiritual life, we find ourselves so awfully deficient. To quicken the spirit and impulse must come from another soul. The person from whose soul such impulse comes is called the Guru, the teacher, and the person to whose soul the impulse is conveyed is called the Shishya, the student. The person from whose soul which such impulse comes is called as Guru, and the teacher, and the person to whose soul the impulse is conveyed is called as shishya, that is the student. To convey such an impulse to any soul, in the first place, the soul from which it produces must possess the power of transmitting it, as it were, to another, and in other second. The place of the soul to which it is transmitted must be fit to receive it. The seed must be a living seed, and the field must be ready plowed. And when both these conditions are fulfilled, a wonderful growth of genius religion takes place. The true preacher of religious has to be wonderful capability, and clever shall his hearer be. And when both of these are really wonderful and extraordinary, then will a splendid spiritual awakening result, and not otherwise. Such alone are the real teachers, and such alone are the only real students, the real aspirants. All the others are only playing with spirituality. They have must they have just a little curiosity awakened, and just a little intellectual aspiration kindled in them, but are merely standing on the outward fringe of the horizon of religion. There is no doubt some value even in that, as it may in course of time result in the awakening of the real thirst for religion. And it is mysterious law of nature that as soon as the field is ready, the seed must and does come. As soon as the soul honest desire to have religion, the transmitter of the religious force must and does appear to help that soul. When the power that attract the light of religion in the receiving soul is full and strong, the power which answers to that attraction and sends in light does come as a matter of course. There are, however, certain great danger in the way. There is, for instance, the danger to the receiving soul of its mistaking momentary emotion for real religious earning. We may study that in ourselves We may study that in ourselves. Many a time in our lives, somebody dies whom we loved. We receive a blow. We feel that the world is slipping between our fingers, that we want something surer and higher, and that we must become religious. In a few days, that wave of the feeling have passed away, and we are left stranded just where we were before. We are all of us we are all of us often mistaking such impulses for real thirst after religion. But as long as this momentary emotion are thus mistaken, that continuous real craving of the soul for religion will not come, and we shall not find the true transmitter of spirituality into our nature. So, whenever we are tempted to complain of our search after the truth that we desire so much, proving vain, instead of so complaining, our first duty ought to be to look into our own souls and find whether the carving in the heart is real. Then, is in the vast majority of cases, it would be discovered that we were not fit for receiving the truth, that there was no real thirst for spirituality. There are still greater dangers in regard to the transmitter, the Guru. There are many who, though immersed in ignorance, yet in the pride of their hearts, fancy they know everything, and not only do not stop there, but offer to take others on their shoulders, and thus the blind leading the blind. Both fall into the ditch. Fools dwelling in darkness, wise in their own concert, and buffeted and puffed with this vain knowledge, go around and round, staggering to and fro like blind men, leading by the blind person. The world is full of this. Everyone want to be a teacher. Every beggar want to make a gift of $1 million. Just as these beggars are ridiculous, so are these teachers.